Hello and welcome to Episode 2 of MISD Assessment's video series on the 2014 State Accountability System for Public Schools in Texas. In this episode, we'll outline the fundamentals for Index 1 Student Achievement and Index 2 Student Progress. Let's begin by revisiting the target scores for 2014. Index 1 carries a target of 55 for all districts and campuses, while Index 2 has a target of 16 for districts, 33 for elementary schools, and 28 for middle schools. Remember that for 2014 only, high schools will not be evaluated under Index 2. Now let's focus on the purpose of Index 1. Index 1 asks one simple question: did students reach a satisfactory level of achievement? However, Index 1 does not view the answer in terms of subject or student group. Instead, it approaches the data holistically, combining all subjects and student groups together. For purposes of calculation, satisfactory achievement means that students met the Phase-In 1 Level 2 passing standard. Star L students in their second, third, or fourth years in U.S. schools could also reach satisfactory achievement if they met expectations on the ELL progress measure. One of the best ways to understand index calculation is to see a sample. So here we have a table of data for a fictional campus called Average Suburban Middle School. This table shows mathematics data for 8 student groups, as well as all students. Notice that it's not divided by grade level because the accountability system examines all students in a given campus regardless of grade level. Notice also that the numbers in the 8 columns added together exceeds the number in the all column because many students are assigned to multiple student groups based on their demographic profiles, so the numbers won't always match up. The 8 student subpopulations listed here will be addressed later on with the system safeguards. But for purposes of Index 1, the data that matters is the data in red. At Average Suburban Middle School, there were 820 total math tests taken. Of those tests, 585 saw a performance level at the Phase-In 1 Level 2 passing standard or higher, and that's a passing rate of 71%. The math results for Average Suburban Middle School are just one component of the campus's Index 1 score, so that math data will be combined with results from the other core subjects. All students at the campus take reading and math, 7th graders take writing, and 8th graders take science and social studies. You might make note of this campus's 88% passing rate on reading because we will reference that later on when we talk about Index 2. Adding all the relevant data together yields 2,235 tests at Level 2 or higher, out of a total of 2,818 tests taken. That is a 79% passing rate on all tests combined. Thus, the Index 1 score for Average Suburban Middle School is 79. On the Campus Accountability Summary, the index scores will be presented visually using a bar graph. The Index 1 score for Average Suburban Middle School would look something like this, with the target of 55 identified at the bottom and indicated on the graph using a horizontal line, and the Campus Index 1 score of 79 easily exceeding that target. Next, we'll turn our attention to the purpose of Index 2. Index 2 is focused not on a passing standard, but on the growth of student performance from year to year, specifically in reading and math. It examines all students at the campus as well as 9 separate student groups. Index 2 also incorporates weighted credit into the calculations for students who exceed progress expectations. Index 2 includes 2 different progress measures, the calculations of which are too complex to explain in a brief video. However, the concept of progress measure is relatively easy to comprehend if you imagine progress in terms of steps on a staircase, similar to the ones on this slide. The highest raw scores will always exceed expectations, and the lowest raw scores will always fall below expectations. But in between, students can advance upward each year regardless of whether or not they meet Level 2 or Level 3 standards. This means it's theoretically possible for a student to meet or even exceed progress expectations, yet still not meet Level 2, depending on previous performance. It also means students could meet the Level 2 standard without meeting progress expectations. Progress measure is designed to benefit all students, not just those barely below Level 2, because it gives campuses an incentive to help every student, high achieving, low achieving, and everyone in between, to make as much academic progress as possible. If you'd like more information about the details of the STAR progress measure or the ELL progress measure, visit the web links noted on screen. The complexity embedded in the calculation of progress measure adds steps to the process of determining Index 2. The first step is simply to determine which students have sufficient data to calculate a progress measure. Some students might be excluded because of insufficient data. Second is to calculate the appropriate progress measure for each student. And third is to use that data to calculate the Index 2 score. Now let's revisit Average Suburban Middle School and examine their progress measure data for mathematics. The data table still includes the total tests, but now includes the number met or exceeded and the number exceeded progress expectations. These raw numbers are used to derive the percentages on the bottom two rows. Remember that students exceeding progress expectations get weighted credit, which is why they're included on both rows. The weighted progress rate for each column is the sum of the two percentages, each of which is possibly 100, so the possible weighted progress rate for each column is 200. With 8 columns, the total possible points for math is 1,600. But when we add the weighted progress rates across for Average Suburban Middle School, we get a total of 603. Those 603 points for math will be added to the points Average Suburban Middle School earned for reading, which is 538. The campus had a strong Level 2 passing rate for reading, but its students did not fare as well on the STAR progress measure, leading to a lower total weighted progress rate in reading. Adding the weighted progress rates for Average Suburban Middle School in reading and math yields 1,141 points out of a possible 3,200, which works out to an Index 2 score of 36. The Index 2 score will also be presented visually on the Campus Accountability Summary, with the middle school target of 28 identified at the bottom and indicated on the graph with its own horizontal line, and the Index 2 score of 36 exceeding the target. In this case, the campus only exceeds the target by 8 points, so student progress will likely be a concern in the upcoming school year for the staff at Average Suburban Middle School. That concludes Episode 2 of MISD Assessment's video series on the 2014 State Accountability System for Public Schools in Texas. We hope you now have a clearer understanding of Index 1 student achievement and Index 2 student progress. In our next episode, we'll address Index 3 closing performance gaps and Index 4 post-secondary readiness. For additional information provided by TEA, visit the web link identified on screen. Thanks for watching.